of it where they don't remember you as somebody who was really critical of them or um, thought that they were above them, thought you were above them. It's more like they just remember you as somebody who, at a certain point, made a judgment call that this was not for you anymore. And with message here, I'm sensing that you were the one who ended this. Um, and if it wasn't you who severed this connection, this message card is here because there was something that you said that was very profound in terms of their own recognition of their own selves, of how they show up for others, of how they show up in life. There was something profound that was said here on your end that really helped shift their perspective of themselves or of what it is that they want. There was just some sort of shift that happened based on something that you said. And then in terms of how they remember this connection, I think that this goes hand in hand with what they feel as though you were settling for in the past, which was more of a sexual or casual connection rather than one that was committed. And so that's what I'm getting most prevalently with this strictly sexual. And also with nectar, I feel like what the two of you shared is something that they still think about. I think they really enjoyed the time that you two shared, and it was something that was full of passion and um, almost medicinal. Like your connection offered them relief. And with karmic path here, I think that this is just acknowledgement that the way they remember your connection is not one that was deep. And I don't mean it in the sense like I don't want to say anything that's hurtful because I mean human beings are complex and obviously um if they're feeling like a medicinalness to this or healingness to this, I'm not saying that there were no feelings here. It's more on the sense of like on the surface level, um, there was never really a discussion on like deepening a commitment or deepening the connection in some sort of way, strengthening it. However, with trust here, I feel like they remember that, but at the same time, regardless of whether or not there was some type of commitment here, there was still a level of comfort that they felt with you. Um, there was still a level of safety and yeah, like it just felt like you two had known each other for a long time. Even if you hadn't, there was just this very specialness to this connection in which you both felt very comfortable very, very early on. Okay. So the first thing that just popped into my head as soon as I saw this Five of Swords is that this person is feeling as though they have let themselves and you down. Um, I'm sensing with this Eight of Swords and the Queen of Cups as though they are recognizing that there were feelings here. They just never allowed them to expand, or this person never allowed themselves to dive in as deeply as they should have. They had this attitude of self-victimization or of um, fearing intimacy, and this fear held them back from something that was really genuinely lovely. With the Knight of Pentacles here and the Two of Wands, I'm sensing that there is an element of trying to understand how they could have showed up in a way that wasn't so. I think that they're honestly trying to explore a different side of themselves. And I think it has to do with this message and image that I pointed out. I feel like they're realizing that the way they are going about connections or about life in general currently is not really in their best interests. They've let themselves down. And I think that they're trying to show up in a more stable, secure, um, positive way rather than a flaky or flighty way. I think here with the Four of Pentacles and the Eight of Pentacles, they're acknowledging this about themselves, and they also see the amount of work that they have to do, and it's not necessarily something that they want to go charging for. This is a lot of inner work, and because of that, they feel a little bit reserved about it. But with the Six of Pentacles here, and then the Page of Wands and Judgment, I feel like what this is essentially saying is that this person realizes that they weren't giving you what it was that you deserved. And you eventually practice discernment because of that. And now with the Page of Wands here in Judgment, I think this is acknowledgement that, for one, they are having to look at themselves in the mirror and have a reckoning with themselves for what they've done. And two, in this reckoning is forcing them to start thinking beyond the horizons of how they've always thought. I think also with Judgment here, there is a desire to try to make things right in a sense. I'm not necessarily sure if this is simply an apology to create a little bit more closure, or if this is some sort of rebirth on their end of wanting to try this connection in a different way. But we'll go ahead and get some channeled messages as well to see what else there is to say. I wish I had treated you better. Yes. Sometimes they stay awake thinking about you. Okay, and then we have I left before you could leave me. I feel like this one isn't so literal. Like, I feel like it's more like a I did not jump fully in, that kind of energy, rather than what's literally being said here. Okay. And I replay our conversations over and over. Okay. And emotionally overreacting. You are overthinking, which is causing a flood of unnecessary emotions. So this might be something that they are realizing about themselves and are working on currently. Let's go ahead and get you some advice. What advice is there for pile one? Integrity. I align with the center of myself, a glowing core of personal integrity. Emanating from this core is the knowledge that I never have to compromise who I am or what I want. Oh my gosh, this is totally giving me the energy of how they remember you. I feel like for a while you were compromising yourself or what you want, and you're now realizing you don't have to. So I never have to compromise who I am or what I want for anybody. I can live a life that doesn't include settling unless I want to settle, in which case settling would be my idea of perfection and would cease to be considered settling. Ugh, paradoxes hurt. What advice is there? As new people show up in my life, I look for all the weird, wonderful, complex layers below their surface. I can't be surprised by someone's depth of character unless I'm willing to peel back the outer layers and go a little deeper. It's like the brand new saying goes, don't judge an onion by its what advice is there for tile one. Compliments. I know how good it feels to get a compliment, so I give that gift to others. I'll find a nice compliment for everyone I interact with today, even if I have to think really hard about it, in which case I can follow it by complimenting myself for solving such a compliment puzzle. Wow, I am skilled. Okay, pile one. Well, this is what I'm seeing for you today. If this resonated, I would love to know about how it did or why in the comment section. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you'll know when I am hosting free reading giveaways or giving out coupons to my private readings in my shop. Thank you so much for letting me read for you today, pile one. I loved doing it for you, and I hope that I'll have the chance to read for you again. Bye. Hello, pile two. So today we are asking, how do they remember you? How do they remember this connection? How are they feeling currently? So for the oracle cards, we have for how they remember you, the warrior. Light attributes are strength, skill, discipline, and toughness of will, heroism, stoicism, and self-sacrifice. in conquering the ego, and the shadow attributes are trading ethical principles for victory at any cost, indifference to the suffering inflicted on. And the bee, and how they remember this connection, boundaries. So I'm going to go ahead and get more cards before we start. How do they remember pile 2? How do they remember pile 2? Life. Whoops. Nothing flipped over, so we're just going to keep going. How do they remember pile 2? And how do they remember this connection? How do they remember your connection? Okay, full moon and stormy. Okay, let's keep going. How do they remember pile 2? I don't know where it is. How do they remember pile 2? Hey, and how do they remember your connection? Okay, pile 2. Let's go ahead and talk how they remember you. So, what I'm getting from this is that they remember you as somebody who kind of in the process of healing some past wounds, and because of this, there were times where you were very shut off. There was like a hot and cold energy, and with past life here and the truth, I feel as though they remember you as somebody felt like they recognized almost immediately, and they felt very comfortable around you. But also at the same time, with this past life and with, I'm sensing that they remember you as somebody who was working through other things that had gone on in your past that were kind of spilling over into this. And with Warrior here in B, I think that they remember you as somebody who was kind of defensive and protective of self. And with Sweetness here, I'm sensing that they don't really remember it as you being intentionally cruel or meaning for it to be something that um, kind of spilled onto your connection. However, it did. And they remember you, they remember this in a way in which they felt rejected and they felt frustrated and also not very trusted by you. And then over here, in terms of how they remember this connection, they remember it with the full moon and with the womb. They remember as this connection. They remember this connection as having a ton of potential, and it felt very safe and comforting for a while. But there's also this hot and cold energy still. With Stormy and boundaries, I'm sensing that there was like a push pull here, where in some moments it felt safe to be close to one another, and in other moments it was sporadic and perhaps boundaries were set or walls were put up. Um, it feels a little chaotic or a little hectic, especially with caution here. And with strength here, I think that this is, a connection that really helped them understand their own strengths, weaknesses, and boundaries as well. Um, but yeah, the energy that I'm getting in terms of how they remember this connection is something that when it was really good, it was really good, and when it was really bad, it was really bad. That's what I'm seeing from these. But let's go ahead and get into tarot and see how they're feeling now. How is Pile Two's person feeling about? How are they feeling right now? Of Cups, the Queen of Wands, and the Fourth. We also have the King of Cups. We have two counter, or no, we don't have two counterparts. We have the Queen of Wands. How is it currently feeling? And then on the back of the deck, so we have more chaotic energy here with the Tower. I'm sensing that the dust has not settled yet on this separation or on this memory. And when they look back, they still feel the destruction of it. They still feel the disappointment or the devastation of this. And also, I'm sensing with the Four a bit of sadness, a bit of contemplation that is causing them right now to miss out on other aspects. Um, with the Ace of Cups here, I'm sensing, this is an overflow of emotions, of sweetness. However, with the Page of Wands right underneath it, I feel like they're not quite sure how to go about. Wands is all about going beyond the horizon. With boundaries here, I'm sensing like they feel like they didn't have a whole lot of freedom to explore this because they weren't really sure what your response would, um, or they weren't really sure whether or not you trusted them. There's just like an element of restriction here, um, that causes an emotional. And with the Queen of Wands here in the sixth, I'm sensing that they're hoping. I feel like they're viewing you as this Queen of Wands, somebody who's fiery, passionate, who wants to get what it is that they want, who has the abilities to manifest anything that it is that they want. And with the Six of Swords underneath it, I'm sensing that this is a really strong desire on their end for you to find peace and for you to perhaps be a little bit more balanced or trusting in the connections around you. And then with the King of Cups here, I'm sensing that they're viewing themselves as this king. And then underneath it, we have the Two of Swords. So I feel like right now, this person feels very defeated and doesn't really know what to do, doesn't know if they should entirely move on or if they should try to work this out. There's an element of confusion and indecisiveness here with this Two of Swords. And then the bottom of the deck energy is the Hierophant. This to me is indicating that this person feels as though, for one, they've learned an immense amount from this connection. But two, I would say that they also feel as though this connection is deeply spiritual in the lessons that it is providing. And honestly, when this card came out, it fell on the floor, and so I was looking for whatever other card fell, and this card was on the floor. It's spiritual lesson. This person is in your life to teach you a spiritual lesson. And I'm picking up on that with the Hierophant. So I thought I should just like show that card because I think that it's relevant. But I also want to get channeled messages from them. What we will be together again. What do you want to say? I hope that you can forgive me one day, or perhaps trust me. I wonder if you are happy without me. Wish things could. And then some shadow work cards to just show what it is, to see what it is that they are currently. What are they working? Okay. We have obsessiveness. Write down what you are obsessing over, realize that it's emotionally draining you. So they could be working on the fact that they still feel very attached to you. And superficial, you care too much about outward appearances. Start with your inner work, your value, your self-esteem, your personality. So these are some things that they are acknowledging about themselves that they need to. So let's go ahead and get you some advice. What advice is there for child 2? Maturity. I make peace with the tough relationships of my past. They probably would have skipped the pain they came with, but I'm grateful for the lessons they. Because of those tough relationships, I can look back at the mosaic of my life and see the value in even the most broken. So I think, like, first off, what I want to say is that if you don't see yourself as this, there could be, a very good reason for that. Perhaps the the issues of trust that you are being perceived as having were well warranted. Um, but either way, this card is acknowledging that there are tough relationships from your past. Um, let's keep going. Okay, we have wait and see. Thoughts love to wander into assumptions and race ahead to the future, but what if you told them to cool their jets and chill a sec? Today you get to put your mental chatter on pause, to take a breath and simply wait and see how things play out before you let your mind run a marathon of imagined scenarios. Wait, and you'll see that waiting and seeing was a lot more productive than wondering and worrying. Insert audible sigh of relief. Okay, and then we have giving. I welcome the idea of give and take in my relationships, and I eagerly practice the give part. By freely giving, I discover just how fun giving really is. Giving my time, care, and attention to someone who actually gives me good feelings, which makes me want to give even more. Wait a sec, does this selfishness make me look selfish? Does this selflessness make me look selfish? Be honest. Okay, pile 2, well, this is what I see for you. If this resonated, I would love to know about how it did in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you so, so much for watching, and hopefully I will have the chance to read for you again in another video soon. Bye! Hello, pile three. So today, before we get started, hello, pile three. So today we are asking, how do they remember you? How do they remember your connection? And what are they feeling? So the oracle cards that I have are going to be representing how they remember you and this connection. We'll also pull more oracle cards before we get into it. We're going to get tarot to see how they're feeling. We're also going to get some channeled messages. And also, we're going to pull some shadow work cards to see what it is that they're currently navigating through in terms of. But okay, let's go ahead and get into it. So they remember you, the Lover. The light attributes are great passion and devotion, unbridled appreciation of someone or something. And the shadow attributes are obsessive passion that harms others, self destructive devotion. And the Blue Jay and the Cardinal. And how they remember this connection, you guys got three cards. Most people, everyone else just got one. They remember it as the Starborn, stability. Let me go ahead and some more oracles before we get into it. How do they remember? How do they remember them? How do they remember them? How do they remember when we have growth? And how do they remember this connection? We have anger and we have. So this is interesting because we have a lot of cards. There's several cards here that essentially carry the same message. So we have growth here, and then we also have the Lover, where in the shadow attributes it says obsessive passion, and then over here we have um okay. So first and foremost, I would say in terms of how they remember you, I would say that they remember you as this Lover in both the light attributes and the shadow attributes. I think that they are remembering you as somebody who was truly devoted to them and who was genuinely in it for the long run. However, they also remember you as the Blue Jay and the Cardinal. And the Blue Jay and the Cardinal are both birds that are very flamboyant and focused on outer appearance. They are very they catch the eye of others, and that's the whole point of their feathers. Um, and so part of what I'm getting from this is that they remember you in the sense of at moments perhaps not necessarily being entirely authentic um, to yourself, because you were more concerned with how they viewed you or the outcome of this connection. And it took on an unhealthy type of um, but that's not all that they're remembering you as, and it's not all that they're remembering from this connection either. With two cards here indicating growth and then one card indicating meditate, they also remember you as somebody who was really in a transformative state. And what I think is really interesting is that we have the blue jay and cardinal here, which are, two birds, and then we have the starborn, and inside of this image we have an egg that's cracking. And I think that they're remembering this connection in the sense of it was meant to be, it was written in the stars, it was destined. Um, and they're really focusing on almost like a death and a rebirth, if that makes sense. Because we have ghost here too, which can signify the past still coming back. Um, However, it's over. And I think that part of what they remember you as in terms of growth has to do with you growing out of something from your past that still was a little bit haunting to you. Um, But we also have over here, in terms of how they remember this connection, stability and marriage. I think that they thought that this connection was something truly promising. And we have Earth here, which is more of this like stable, grounded energy that offers um, growth to happen. Um, and I'm really sensing that they viewed this connection as something that was very fertile and had the potential for long term. And with anger and consciousness here, I'm sensing a little bit of when I pulled anger, the word that came to mind, what word was it? It was disappointment. It wasn't it wasn't anger. I don't think that there's a card in this deck for the word disappointment. And as soon as it came out, that is the word that I heard. And I think that I don't really, well, disappointment can bring about anger. I think that really, to the core of it, is how this person remembers this, is that there was so much potential. And I think with meditate here and then both of these growth cards, I think um, along with consciousness, this is indicating that this person remembers this as something that was evolutionary for them, eye opening for them as well. It was eye opening for the both of. Yeah, but let's keep going. Let's go ahead and look into how they're currently. How is the Tower, the King of Pentacles? Is more fertile. I don't know if for like some of you, you guys had spoken about starting a family with these two cards for growth, and then the Starborn here with the egg, and now with the Empress in the Tower. I feel like one thing that this is indicating is that this person feels like a dream has been ripped away from them. A dream that was currently in the womb was ripped away from them. You have the Nine of Pentacles. Okay. We have the Chariot reversed. Three of Cups. And then on the back of the deck, we so I would say that overall, the person that you're inquiring about isn't really in like the best of headspaces. Um, with this star here and then the chariot reversed, this is more indication of a dream coming to a halt. Um, the chariot is the fast moving, rapid energy of something charging toward you. And if this were to be upright with this star, I would say that this person has like, a dream in mind, and they feel as though it's on its way to them, or they really need to come charging toward this. But it feels to me like something has come, and there's this. I mean, like I feel with the Knight of Cups here, I would say that there's still love here. This person still cares deeply for you. Um, I feel like they're viewing themselves as this King of Pentacles, and they're viewing you as the Nine of Pentacles, which is indicating to me an energy of, especially with the Nine of Pentacles being a card of solitary abundance, of stepping into your, and it's not. I'm okay. Well, so I also just picked up on perhaps the third party situation that had happened here. Um, and I'm saying that because I'm seeing the Empress here and the Nine of Pentacles, and then over here, and I'm sensing that even now there is indecision on this person's end. Hmm. I don't think that that's going to resonate with all of you, but like the whole third party situation. And if it's not a third party situation, I would say that right now this person is really probably in a party type of energy right now, where they're really trying to drown out the feelings that they have of loss or of disappointment that I've been picking up on. And they're using partying or surrounding themselves with others as a way to kind of keep themselves blindfolded to the fact that eventually they're going to have. Um, let's go ahead and get some. So that I want to say treated you better. You don't know how hard it was to let you go. I feel you leave. Wonder if was my fault. Okay. Uncompromising. Think about being fair and working in harmony with another. Jealousy. Your past wounds need healing. Work on your self love. You are far greater than you know. And addiction. Think about the emotions you are trying to cover up. Deal with those emotions. Process, heal. Lastly, ice is there for pile. This heralds a wonderful time of rooting yourself in complete and total honesty. It might be scary to tell the truth all the time with everyone about everything, but when you practice radical honesty, you can stop hiding and start relaxing. The best part is, honesty from you inspires honesty from others, what results in rootin' tootin' trust. And everyone's invited, except the bagpipe players, but you know they'll show up anyway. Good advice is there for pile 3. I was gonna say this. I'm gonna read this one first because I was honestly going to say this um, while I was reading this honesty about, practicing radical honesty. And I was gonna say, I agree that radical honesty is important, but I think it's also important to practice tact. And then this came out. So I'm gonna go ahead and read. I speak and act with care, remembering that impulsive words or a harsh tone can sometimes hurt others. If it feels like I'm walking on eggshells, I'll remind myself that those eggshells might actually be a shot full of china and I might actually be a bowl. Then I'll remind myself to stop mixing metaphors, and we have no scorekeeping. I cut ties with past conflicts and make my personal life a clean, shiny slate. Beginning this moment, everything is new. When an old grievance repeats itself in my head, I introduce it to my new head tenants: tolerance and equanimity. Then I give it its stupid t shirts and records back and tell of them. No, I think that I did that for the other part. What affirmation is there for pile 3? Okay, we have creativity flows from me. I am a divine creator. Okay, pile 3. Well, this is where I am going to leave you. If this resonated, I would love to hear about how it did or why in the comment section down below. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you so much for giving me the chance to read for you today, and hopefully I will have the chance to do it again soon. Bye. Hello, pile 4. So today we are asking, how do they remember you? How do they remember your connection? And what are they feeling currently? So these oracle cards here are going to represent how they remember you, how they remember this connection. We're going to pull more oracle cards to get more clarity. Then we'll pull tarot to see how they're currently feeling. We'll also get some channeled messages as well as some shadow work cards to see what it is that they're currently working through. And then finally, we will pull a. So they remember you as the destroyer. The light attribute is releasing what is potentially destructive, preparing for new life. And the shadow attributes are intoxication with destructive power, destroying others' dreams or potential. And the moth. And they remember this connection as apology, the lover. Go ahead and get more. How do they remember piles 3? We have divine. How do they remember this connection? How do they remember pile forth? Do they remember pile forth? We have protection. And then how do they remember this connection? Comfort. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about how they remember you. So the first thing that I feel really drawn to is this moth. The moth to me is giving me the feeling that they remember you as somebody who was searching for something or who was attempting to find the light. Um, you may have found it here. There are things indicating that you definitely were on a spiritual path. However, the moth also sometimes doesn't actually find the light that they think they're looking for, and it's artificial light. And there could have been a mistake here that kind of destroyed this connection here with Destroyer. However, I think that part is just for some of you. For others of you, I feel like they remember you in the light attributes of the Destroyer, um, in which you were probably the one who released this connection. However, it may not have been in terms of a mistake from accidentally following a false. They remember you with strength and protection here. I mean, I'm feeling a sense of power here with divine feminine, psychic protection and strength. They remember you as somebody incredibly powerful, incredibly intuitive, incredibly in touch with their feminine energy, um, and just very open to the spirit world, um, and very wide. And in terms of how they remember this connection, they remember it as something incredibly sacred here with the lover and the temple. The temple is a means to protect, and then we have protection here. And with the lover here, I think it's blatantly obvious that they remember this connection sweetly. They remember it fondly. They remember it and they feel safe. There's an element of comfort here. They remember it as something that they wanted deeply with focus and growth here. Um, it was something that they wanted and that they felt as though was going to uh, they felt as though it was like written in the stars or it was divinely being guided. And with surrender here, I think that this is indicating that there was kind of blind trust as well. And for apology to be here, I feel like this is if they have wronged you in any way, there is incredible guilt here, and there's a strong acknowledgement of what it is that they have lost. And if it's the other way around, I would say that this person is acknowledging that this has harmed them deeply, and they are hoping for an apology. Let's go ahead and keep going. Let's go and get some information on how they're currently feeling. How is title first person currently feeling? How are you feeling? Of Wands, of Wands, What are they currently feeling? And the Knight of Cups reversed. And then on the back of the deck, we have the I would say that if this person is coming forward right now and trying to show you that they have changed or fight for this connection, I don't necessarily know. That's what I would say. I would say that with the Ten of Wands being here and Judgment being reversed, I would say that they don't necessarily want to put these 10 wands down and release the burden, but they also don't necessarily want to keep going. They're in a state of limbo right now. They don't want to have a judgment. They would prefer to just keep things as they are right now. Um, and I feel like with this Three of Cups being here, this has to do with the fact that I would say, and only take this if this resonates with you, that currently they are exploring other options. Especially with this Page of Wands being here. This is all about adventure, looking beyond the horizons, thinking outside of the box, doing things differently, travel, and the Knight of Cups being reversed. This is indicating to me that um, emotional offers and heart space right now in this person is closed. Um, the Five of Wands indicates a very passionate energy. For the High Priestess to be reversed, I would say that this is a little bit manipulative. And I don't think, based on how they remember this connection and um, everything wonderful and positive about it, I don't really sense that they're being malicious in this. Um, it's more like they just don't really know what it is that they want, and therefore and instead of being truthful about that, um, if they were to decide to come forward, there's an energy of limbo here. That's all I can say is that this person doesn't really know which direction they want to go in, which direction they don't want to go in. They don't know what they want to do. They don't know what they want. There's conflicting energy every which way, and because of this, it's just complete. The Three of Cups could also be indicating that they feel as though, I mean, if this was you who has been in this like shadowy side of the destroyer, and perhaps it was you who strayed as this moth to a false light, this could be indicative of them still feeling um, the aftermath of that. That Three of Cups is what that could be, and because of that, they're kind of in a freeze response right now. Um, but if it's not that, I would say that They're hoping perhaps to be your friend, to try to keep you around because truthfully, they don't know what they're doing. And based on how they remember this connection, they would be a fool to let this go entirely. And so even if they haven't like reached out to you or anything like that, they're definitely in conflict right now over what they should do. Makes sense. Let's go ahead and get that threw me for a loop. I was not expecting this. I was expecting something much more aligned with how they remember this. Um, so I'm 100%. Um, hopefully these messages will give us more insight. What is it that they want to say? I hide behind material things. The big takeaway here, I think, right now is I hide. I'm hiding. I lost myself for a little while. It seems like they're currently lost. And perhaps they do feel as though it's temporary. And it could be past energy, but like based on the confusions that I'm seeing here, I feel like that's a current energy. What do you want to say? I want to be more than friends. This is what do you want to say? I hid who I really am from you. Twice now, this hiding energy here. And I think this is shadow work. Let's see what they're currently working through. What are they currently working through? Superficial. You care too much about outward appearances. Start with your inner work, your value, your self esteem, your personality. What are you working? They working. Arrogant. If you're insecure or fear rejection, this behavior surfaces. Work on accepting your true self and give yourself love as you are needing. Get one more. One more. What are they currently working through? And that this. What are they currently working? Emotionally detached. Are you protecting yourself from unwanted drama or stress? Feel positive emotions within yourself. To feel emotions is to live freely. Yeah, I don't think that this, with the High Priestess being reversed and then Judgment being reversed and the Knight of Cups being reversed, these are the emotional cards that would indicate emotional openness, emotional depth, wanting to look at yourself and have a reckoning, or not even just with yourself, but have a reckoning in this connection. And it's all shut off right. And while there's absolutely memories here of like something sacred, this person, for whatever reason, is cut off to it and a little lost and not really diving deep into their emotions. This is superficial, arrogant, emotionally detached. Let's go ahead and get you some advice. Okay, cleansing. Feeling bogged down by the weight of 1,000 thoughts, feelings, boxes of mystery objects lurking in your closets. Considering this a prescription to clean house, mentally, physically, literally, figuratively, and anything else that applies adverbally. It's hard to make room for new connections and experiences when every bit of your emotional space is cluttered with psychic bric-a-brac. So enjoy a major guilt-free flush out, and not to worry, you can always find new psychic bric-a-brac in the metaphorical clutter section of Craigslist. Interesting. This is giving you the same energy of the destroyer and the psychic that they remember you as too. Okay, and now we have surrender, which also came up over here. Hear ye, you are hereby being called to unclench your grip on any old thought patterns that are getting in your way. Surrender any ideas that make you feel like a victim of circumstance or which make your dream relationship seem like an impossibility. The mayor of reinvention has just arrived, and he has made the following decree. Limiting beliefs about yourself and your life are heretofore forthwith officially and indubitably declared for the birds. And we have I face disagreements with grace and flow through the ups and downs of my relationships without getting thrown off center. With grace, I'm able to keep my cool, be my best self, and not resort to name calling, even when that crappy poo poo face is being a douchey barf. And pile 4. Let's go ahead and get you Asian. My greatest experience of freedom comes when I let go of what others. All right, pile 4. Well, this is what I'm seeing for you today. If this reading resonated with you, I would love to hear about how it did in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching pile 4. And hopefully I will have the chance to do a reading for you in another video soon. Bye.